Boom, shakalaka laka laka laka. What's up, everybody's? Can you guys hear us okay? Hope you guys are doing well. This is going to be an awesome stream. I think if you were here from the last one, we did these really awesome, well, I think it was awesome, real reviews. And we were we're lucky enough to have the amazing Jorge. That's how Momo says your name too. Jorge.
That's the right pronunciation too.
Jorge Estrada, our Jr.Canest is on, and we have Michael Rigley, both instructors at Learn Squared. Both are amazing, some of the most talented people I know. Yeah, we're here. We're going to be doing some amazing information exchanging. It's going to be awesome. You guys want to say hello?
Hey, everybody.
Hello. How's
Not too much
everybody
energy,
doing?
Michael. Not too much energy. That's too loud.
Gotta ease into it.
Yeah, this is going to be great. So you guys know the rules. There's going to be, you guys, if you have questions along the way, be sure to let Joe know. Just tag him, or just make sure he gets the questions. He's going to be basically feeding them to us as we go through the process. So if you have questions about any particular thing, what we're going to do is we're going to try and go through. We have 4 reels in the queue. We have Naomi Benson, Josh Dickens, sorry, John O'Connell, what's up, John, and then Billy Chitkin. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right. I apologize if I didn't. Last time we ended up really diving deep into a lot of things and getting into some theory and all that kind of stuff. So there's no promises that we're going to get through everybody. It seems like it's manageable to do 4 of these in one stream, but we'd rather you guys have like the most amazing critique than us just rushing through it just for the sake of it. So we're trying to do that quality versus quantity thing. So there's going to be I'll make sure I share the links. Last time we did this too, it wouldn't post to YouTube because YouTube doesn't allow for the audio to go through, because if it's got like MC Hammer, it'll cut it off. So, and I know everybody's using MC Hammer for their reels now, so you're not allowed to. So if you want to listen to it and watch it, I'm going to send a link in the chat, and then you guys can watch it that way. So, or you can just Google it or whatever you'd like. So, should we get started? Get this party started? Okay, so first off, Naomi is one of Jorge's students, mentorship students, or just your student?
Just students.
You want to give her a shout out?
Hey, Naomi. I mean, she kind of knew some stuff already, but like that, you'll see the piece in the reel with the little person, like the girl, and all the stuff floating on top of her. That was that was her project for the class, which is one of the best ones so far.
Damn, awesome. I haven't seen it. I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure a student of yours is going to really understand these like basic principles and stuff. Maybe we can talk about some things that that she learned from you that could help, or things that she can still progress. And so, again, also the key thing is take our advice with a grain of salt. We have our own thoughts and opinions, and we might not always be right. So, well, I'm always right, I guess. No, I'm just joking. It's Michael Wrigley's always right. And
that's right. He's the one that's always right.
Yeah, so when Michael says something, you just listen to it, and that's it. It's the gospel. You carve it in stone. Okay, so I think let's get it started. I posted the link to Naomi's reel in the chat, so if you want to watch it, here it is. Let's get started. I'm going to play it now. I can't play the audio, so if you guys want to listen to the audio again, you need to play it on your own browser so you can watch along. You guys ready?
Yep.
Ready to get shreddy? Okay, let's do it. I'm going to full size this beast, and let's go through it. I'm going to play it through. I'm not going to say anything, and then we'll come back to it. Cool? Shut up, guys. You're talking too much. Okay,
let's do it.
Yeah. Whoa. Damn, she freaking shreds, man. Wow, that is so good. Jorge, you better watch out, dude. You're going to take your job. And Giant and everybody else, too.
Oh.
Wow, that's so great.
This one's like really hard to critique. There's, I mean, I can compliment it, but I'm not sure that there's like much to really break down. Like, I think the music is really good. It complements all the visuals. Like,
yeah,
the craft and the animation is super on point. The illustration style is really good. Everything just like, I don't know, it feels really good and like nicely fused together.
Yeah,
I'm not really sure what to critique about it, to be honest.
Actually, there's I mean,
here it comes.
Here it comes.
Here comes Papa.
No, I think this is awesome. But kind of like one thing I wanted to ask. I don't know if we talked about last time much, but it was like the different kinds. Or maybe we did talk about it, but like of cutting your reel. Like I'm always being kind of like a fan of one project and then the next one and then the next one, and not necessarily like jumping around from project to project throughout the reel.
That's interesting.
And
like coming back to it and back and forth and stuff.
yeah,
Like
I kind of like
finishing.
being able to, exactly being able to like, okay, that was it, and then the next one, okay, that was it, and like I kind of like that progression personally. But I wonder what you guys thought of that.
That's an interesting point too, because when I was watching, I'm watching it again. I was wondering if like, is this one part of the other thing?
Exactly.
To me, I guess because her style and just the feel of it is kind of unified. It's not like, remember one of the reels we watched where there was two styles that are really quite contrasty, but not in a complementary way. Whereas this, I feel like all the styles are really cohesive. Like I can tell they're different projects, but they all feel like they're kind of a part of the same thing because of the style, basically.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like we're like
disjointed,
absorbing one idea, cutting away, and then coming back to the next one. It's all just kind of like exploring her visual style and her work. So for me, it's not really like problematic in this reel, but I definitely get what you're saying and how it might be for other people where their style is more diverse or they work on like different ranges of projects. To me, this just feels like it's kind of celebrating her work, and it doesn't really matter, you know, what order it is in specifically.
Yeah,
It doesn't bother me, and I'm not necessarily seeing it as like, oh, we're back to this thing. It's a lot of repetition or anything like that.
Yeah, this is an A+ reel in my opinion. Though the music's really tight, the edit's really tight, the way that the imagery and motion match with the visuals, it pairs really well, and it's well considered and thought of. I think it could be a little tighter at times, you know, like hitting the beat really tight, because her animations are so kinetic and sharp. But yeah, I mean, this is a hard one to critique. It really is. I mean, Jorge, this is more your wheelhouse, so I'm sure you have more things. You know, this is your student too, so I imagine when you were working with her, did you, and in your mentorship, did you have certain things that she ended up working on and sharpened?
Well, it wasn't the mentorship.
Okay.
But she was posting her process of that piece called "How Odd."
Okay. Which one is it? Which one's this one right here?
It's let me see. Yeah, that one.
Okay, cool.
And then that one is kind of like the beginning of the piece, and then it moves on to like the one with the question mark is also there.
Yeah, that one's really beautiful.
With the girl and like all the pieces underneath her, that's also part of that.
That I see what you're saying. It's all disjointed because it's like that project is spread throughout.
Right, and maybe it's because I know that it's kind of the same project.
Yeah, I think
that I
that's
kind of want to. But one thing I was going to mention is, and I almost say that with every reel that I ever see, is like, okay, if you had to cut this reel in half, what would you keep? And the reason why I asked that is because I know that I've had to do that. I mean, I've only had 2 reels, but every time I was like, okay, I started with like a 2-minute reel, and I was like, okay, how would it look if it was half of this? And then it ended up in like 1.5 minutes, and then it was like, okay, can you even cut it even more? And then it ended up with 1 minute, but the 1 minute that I really felt like it was the most, the best representation of not only the work that I was proud of, but the work that I wanted to do. And I would actually ask that question for this. It was like, if you had to cut like 20 seconds of this piece, which projects would you get rid of? And it's not to say that the projects are not good, but it's kind of like just to increase the overall quality of it all, basically.
It's
And
60 seconds now. I think that's pretty tight. Yeah. No, you think it could be 45?
I mean, I'm not necessarily that it has to be.
Like,
I'm just
damn,
wondering
Getting it.
how
Cutthroat, man.
what shots would be killed if you had to make it 45.
Yeah.
Not necessarily that you have to make the reel shorter, but maybe like, for example, the ones that stood out to me, the one that is all text,
The billion one.
the pretty good, and the billion one.
Yeah.
That kind of stood out to me as in like taking a hard look. It was like, you know,
Yeah.
is that on par to like the rest of the pieces?
It's not as
And I
strong.
kind of
Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, I mean that's definitely one that stood out to me.
That's a good point. I wonder it would be. I wonder if Naomi, if you're in the chat, let us know. Curious to see what you think of these, because that's a good point. And as much as you can distill things down to the core, it's so hard as an artist to go and remove your work, because it's not just the work, it's like the emotions or whatever was attached, the memories, or maybe you're working on this or something, there was something special to it. But yeah, I think that's a good point, and I didn't really think about it until you mentioned it. But out of all the work, there's some of them that are stronger than others, and perhaps cutting some of it down or replacing it with something stronger might be good. I was thinking about a little sidetrack, but I was thinking about taking my reel, and then all I was gonna do for the next like couple years is just cut out parts of the things that are old and then put new ones in there, and then just keep cycling it over and just upload it to Vimeo, like not tell anybody, and just keep updating it slowly. Now everybody knows, but that's one of the things I was thinking about doing, because as you progress, and I didn't want to make a whole new one. I just wanted to kind of like remove old pieces, put new ones in there. It's almost like a gob of clay or something that I'm trying to like slowly refine over the years. I don't know. What do you think of that?
I mean, I think you would really like to. You would have to like really love your reel, because I know that after I see my reel after like a month, I'm like, oh, I want to change it all.
Yeah,
It just seems like such a big job to like recut the whole thing. If you got like the edit already there and you just want to swap a clip or something, I get that.
I'll just be lazy.
Yeah.
But it's already there. Yeah, no, I get that. But I mean, cutting a reel, I wonder how long this took Naomi to really find the track and then put everything together and then balance it together, get notes, get reviews and stuff. I feel like this took some time in order to really achieve the results that I think are what we're seeing here, you know? So
yeah, I have.
Right. Do you know how long she's been working, or is she a student, or?
I don't actually. I mean, I know she's been doing it before the
years.
class.
At least 60 years.
Oh, well, let's see.
I'm just interested, like, how long it takes to accumulate, like, this quality of work to have something to actually cut together that is then, like, this polished reel, too.
So I found her older reel. That was 3 years ago.
Okay. Let's share it. Share it to me. Can you put it in the Skype?
Yeah.
Let's go through that, too. This is why these critiques take so long, because we're going far down the rabbit hole. We're just trying to find ways of critiquing it. So
while you load it, I wanted to mention something that I find, I just thought of that, but like demo reels is like one of the few times that every motion designer animates to the beat.
Yeah.
Like they make it a rule. And like for me, I tried to make that a rule for every project, but
yeah, I love the beat. You got to use the beat, man. It's all about
yeah,
the beat.
exactly. But this should be with every project, not just your reel.
Yeah.
But
preach it, baby, preach it. Wow, what a jump she had. But I think that at the same time, the work we're seeing in the new reel is very much what is trending, you know. Whereas this, I think the art direction is. It feels like it. Yeah, she sharpened a lot of things. I could tell, just the sensibility of things and what she kept and what she didn't keep and stuff. Dang, Ender's Game. All right, that's cool.
And it definitely feels like the old reel. Like you said, it didn't have a unified style. That's like in contrast with the new one. You can definitely tell she has a style.
Who started this whole style? Because like this like solid shape, abstract kind of thing. Because I mean, it's like everywhere now, right? This style. Was it you guys at Giant, or was it a combination with you and Buck, or like how did that? Because I feel like it's been strong for like.
I feel like
what,
after like designed by Apple, it started getting really big.
But you're talking about like
designed by Apple spot.
Character stuff.
Yeah, the character stuff at the same time, like this this gradient kind of look with like the solid shapes and stuff. Because it's definitely a style.
I would probably say the Buck was kind of at the forefront there.
Was it one of the designers at Buck or something, or is it just kind of like a culmination of Buck as a whole? I'm trying to chase it back down to the that core lineage.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't dare to say because I'm afraid I'll be very wrong.
I feel like Oddfellows have pushed this look a lot too.
Yeah, definitely.
Sort of like expanded on it.
And you guys when you were at Giant too, you guys were really expanding upon it as well. I think it's cool. Yeah. I love it. I think it looks really beautiful. I don't watch commercials, but then like I'll see a commercial that has like this look. I'm like, okay, let me watch this because I know it's entertaining. Because I imagine somebody's put a lot of time. Not like people don't put other time into other things, but I'm so tired of seeing the same car commercial as the car is driving into the sunset. It's like, the new Audi, blah blah blah. I don't care. Like I'd rather see something of substance, So yeah, I'm just curious because this style is so prevalent. When you go to Motionographer or something like that, about 75% of what you look at, it feels like has traces of this style,
You see, I remember one project that was the Flex Alert that Buck did. Yeah. And I think it was like about 3 years ago. Yeah. And that's kind of like one of the oldest memories I have of this style. I mean, I'm sure it's not the first.
Yeah. I love that one.
But it's kind of like around 3 years where like that kind of like stylized 2D with character animation kind of became a big deal, I think, at least that I can remember.
Yeah. I remember
because I know that we even use that as like a reference or like inspiration for other stuff.
Don't say that. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, 5 years ago for that spot.
or like this
one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. Or the Don't Fall for Idaho was also like a big, even more so. I don't know if you remember that one.
The one other thing that I remember in this kind of style too is the Waiting for Superman, the one that you animated. It wasn't the same style, but had that really. I think you had some of those gradients and stuff in there too. It reminds me of kind of Google Design has a lot of this stuff too, like solid Pantone colors with like beautiful gradients and like nice like that kind of digital edgy pastel kind of gradient style. It's cool. I really like it personally. I think it's cool. It kind of reminds me of like Charlie Hopper's work, I believe, and a lot of some of the old school animators or illustrators back in the day. Even like Mary Claire, I think that's her name.
Mm.
You know what I'm talking about? The Disney artist. She did a lot of the backgrounds. She did the backgrounds for like Alice in Wonderland. So if you were to take her art and vectorize it, it's kind of similar, where you have these solid shapes that are kind of playing together via gradients and depth and stuff. So, but I'm wondering, it's cool because it's been around for about 5 or 6 years now.
Yeah.
And the reason why we're talking about style is because when we look at Naomi's original one, I think that this one we would have been able to critique a lot easier, I think, because there's a lot of stuff to be built on. But I think that she's managed to find that cohesive kind of blend, and she's sharpened her skills, obviously, since then, which is awesome. So, but a lot of it, I think, is due to the visuals. And I think one thing about your reel is only put out, like, the epic fruit. You know, like, if you're trying to sell fruit, don't put out, like, the shitty banana in the front. You know, like, throw that out of here, you know. Put, like, the freshly cleaned, watery, delicious apple in the front there, you know. So it keeps us energized and excited. Because when I was watching this thing, I was like, "Whoa, this is so great!" I didn't have really a dull moment. It was just pleasurable for the minute that was on. So, yeah.
Just thinking about her evolution from her first reel to this one, and I think some of that also comes down to like opportunity and getting the chance to work on the right kind of projects that you can actually fill out your real stuff that you care about. Like she may have like always been a fan of this style and just didn't have enough of those projects to actually fill out 60 seconds, because you can see like hints of it in her old reel,
Yeah.
but obviously not to the extent that she has here.
Yeah. And I think one thing, if you're listening to this and you're like, oh shit, well, a lot of my stuff is not good enough to show, then that means you need to have passion projects, or you need to go and put the time in off of hours to build up the work. If this is the kind of style that you like, or if you want to be a part of like the building off this kind of trend and build it out, then like you should just put the time in, you know. I think when I look at my own reel, I think about half of it is my own personal like passion projects. I've actually like excluded a bunch of huge film stuff from it. I didn't really want that to be a part of it, you know. So what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I think that's huge. But I think the one thing important to differentiate is a passion project that is truly a passion project is a project that you're really wanting to do, and then just a semi-passion project that is really just a filler for your reel. Like if it's really like something that you've been wanting to do, then your goal of it shouldn't be, oh, so I can put it on my reel. The goal should be to like make an awesome piece that then, you know, a good side effect of it is that you'll be able to put it in your reel. But I feel like even if it's like a very subtle difference in the way you see it, I think it really affects the project. Like, and I'm looking at Naomi's pieces, like the one with the question mark and the girl, that was like her homework too for the class.
Yeah, this is the homework we're looking at right now. How odd.
Yeah, and then the other one is the final, like the one you're looking at there right now. That's a final piece. And then the homework was just the one with the question mark. So like she put two pieces there that were passion projects basically.
Yeah.
There's probably more, but they don't seem like projects that are just to fill the reel. Like they truly feel like passion projects that she took the time and process to do it well.
Yes.
And I mean, I'm the same with my reel and my work. It's like the passion projects are the ones that I'm usually the most proud of, and definitely should do those if you don't feel like you have enough body of work.
Yes, that's a universal thing. I personally would just probably mostly put almost all personal projects. I mean, we were talking about the FITC title sequence a little earlier because Michael Rigley and I had worked on that very closely, and how that's like a big part of our reels actually, and a big part of like one of our favorite projects, you know. It could have been for Jorge too, but you know, he just doesn't like it, so. I rub it in his face every time because I know he was busy, but I offered for him to come and join us on the team. But a little inside scoop, so I guess you behind the scenes on that. But no, that personal project you did for that How Odd project is really beautiful, man. You must be so proud to make these classes and see your students succeed like this. Is so cool. So
yeah, it's really awesome. Feels like I didn't really teach them anything, you know.
That's I have that sometimes too with some students are just like they really get it, you know, but like you never know that you might have just given them that extra like last minute push to get them there, and I think I could see your influence on her for sure in the work. So let's talk about, I guess, so the main critique I think from Jorge was try to make it so that your work isn't scattered throughout. So maybe if it's isolated into like a linear timeline. I think that's actually a valid note and an interesting one too, so that it kind of ties together and you have a through line. Possibly remove a couple of these projects that aren't on that A-level list. You have a couple of them that we thought maybe could be removed or shifted or changed, or even go back to those files and add all that like sick-ass pizzazz that you've been learning and using, you know. This reel is 6 months old too, so I imagine you probably learned some badass stuff since then. And I guess, is there anything else we should critique about the description or anything? Or is this all good too? Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
The music in here, that's good. You got your work, you got your link back out of here, that's good. I think, does Vimeo not allow like hyperlinks and stuff? That's really annoying if they don't. Because that'd be really nice if you could have like a hyperlink to go, oh, I like that music. You click on it, boom. I guess you could just Google it, so.
I think you can.
Yeah, maybe you can embed a link. I think there is. I think I've done it before, but I can't remember.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, so maybe that would be my only note here. And that's cool that she mentions that she was a designer only on here, so that's cool. So you can decipher it, I guess. But no, I think it's killer. Those are the only notes I guess we have, huh?
Mm-hmm.
We touched on that a little bit last time, like breaking down per shot or whatever, and just like whether you're like giving credit to people or whatnot. But I mean, even if you did do everything, you should definitely say it like she does here, because I mean, it's even more badass just to know that she made pretty much everything in that 60 seconds.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So if you are responsible for everything, definitely like, be part of that.
Yeah, and I think sometimes it's hard because even for me, for example, like I'll work on it. If I did that on my reel, it'd be like more names and information because I work on it.
Yeah.
And then I worked with this director, and this director had this guy, and then producer, and then it's a fine line. I think that's what's difficult. But I think listing what you did is really important, I guess, so people can signify, go, oh, I really like that. Oh, you did that as a designer, okay, or you were the director of that, or you animated that, okay, cool. So it clarifies to them. That helps too. So awesome. I think that's it for Naomi. It's an amazing reel. It's really great. It's hard for us to critique, so we're starting off with the big guns. So you guys ready for the next one? How's everybody doing in the chat? Let me go through some questions maybe. People are asking if this reel was made in After Effects. I would waver to say yes, almost all of it is, I would imagine. No, it's all done in Lightroom or Adobe Illustrator, keyframe animation, screenshots. When creating a reel or curating work, how do you know what to cut and what to include, particularly if most of the work is really good? You know if the work is good or not. You put the best thing out there, and I think the key is that you need to think of yourself, if you can, as a fruit vendor amongst the street of other fruit vendors, and put out the most juicy, luscious stuff, and everything else needs to go out. So don't even include it. I think that's really the key. That's how I approached it. How about you guys?
I think it's just, for me, it's like this sense of intuition. You just kind of have this nagging feeling that it's not like as strong as the work that's surrounding it. And I mean, I think that's just following the same intuition you use when you're designing and stuff too, like following your visual style, whatever drives you. And I mean, using whatever you do to evaluate your designs and evaluating your own work that same way.
Yeah, I would say put some type of pressure in terms of like making a decision. Like, I know for my reel, I made the song like so long, and then there were like so many shots that I was really happy with, but I was like 15 seconds over, and that pressure of like I have to make it shorter really forced me to choose better. But I think that pressure can even come from like people that you respect or whatever, but somehow that it will force you to make a decision. I don't know, an external force that will force you to make a decision, basically.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, and I think you just should know. And if you don't know and you're not aware, then you need to share this stuff with people that are better than you. We the three of us, I'm just assuming, I'm going to go and put a blanket statement. We're only good because we learn from better people, or surrounded ourselves with better people, or reached out to better people. So you need to do that in the process of it. And better people will say, that sucks and that's better. They'll help you, if you can't do it yourself. That's why we're doing this. That's why these are like pretty popular. So, and yeah, I think that's the key, is making sure you're asking professionals, get professional advice. Maybe don't just blast me with a bunch of emails, because I don't want to have to do that via email. So, because I don't like to do critiques or reviews via email personally. So just a side note, I don't know if you guys like to do it. It's too difficult for me because words can be so misconstrued. So, but I like doing them like this, because imagine if I had to type this email out, how much information has to go out there. It's like I don't even have enough time in the day for that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So leave me alone, people. Point. I'm just joking. I love you guys. Thank you for your amazing questions. Okay, let's see. One question, and we're going to get to the next reel. This is a kind of interesting question. It's a little different, so try to keep it reel related if you guys can. If not, I understand. How do you? Oh, and if you're submitting a reel, we're only reviewing these 4 today. So if you want to submit it for review, I think you got to get in contact with Momo or Joe. Joe will get it to Momo and we'll add it to the list. One of the questions is, how do you keep up with the software costs, especially in 3D field? There are so many softwares you need to know, and constantly need to learn new workflows, new softwares, new and extremely expensive, especially if you're a beginner. How do you guys deal with that? Because I have my own answers, but I want to let you guys. Maybe Michael, I know you use a lot of different programs. How do you deal with the cost of it? Just go, mommy.
Yeah.
Buy this software,
Well,
mama.
I mean, I'm obviously not a student. I'm a working professional. This is kind of what I'm spending every single day doing. So, like, part of what I do at the beginning of each year is I kind of like budget out what my business expenses are going to be for that year. And I think about like, okay, what applications are coming out? What do I see in terms of hardware that's like breaking down or is going to need replacing this year? And I take that into account. Like, so basically monthly, I'm going to budget what I need to spend on software, hardware, business expenses, whatever. And basically all the money that I make, I leave a percentage of it in my business. And then I have that money to access and spend on software. So it's not like everything that I make goes directly to me personally. A lot of it I'm holding to the side so I can spend on those types of things if the expense comes up. And, some months I don't spend anything and I just like keep that in my savings. And other months it gets really expensive and you got to buy a new computer or you got to update the software. But that's my general approach to it. It's basically like the more you can plan for it, the less it hurts. And it's not like you're pulling it out of your own personal expenses.
I like that. That's a smart way to approach it, I think. More business-minded. How about you, Jorge?
Well, I mean, I think that question refers much more to 3D, and like the 3D that I do, it's fairly, very basic. I mean, my biggest expenses will probably with like plugins and monthly Adobe stuff, which is fairly managed. I mean, it's really
so affordable now. It used to be like
so
$4,000 when I first started. I was like, well, this is so impossible.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, like the thing about the 3D, I mean, for me, 3D software is kind of like a one-time big investment. Like, let's say if you were to buy Cinema 4D or whatever,
It's expensive.
and then the updates are fairly cheap from then on. What, like the base?
I think even the updates are kind of expensive, honestly.
They don't need to be that expensive. I wonder why. I don't even know.
How much?
I think it cost me like $4,000 to buy it, and then it's like $1,000 every year to upgrade it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's just like if you break
Something like that. I can't remember. I just did it, but I can't remember exactly.
It's about
what
80
the price
bucks.
is. Maybe it's only
basically.
600 or something.
Yeah. Well, you buy the software, then
Yeah.
it's $60 a month if you kind of break it down. I'm wondering when Cinema and these guys are. I guess I shouldn't expect that because they're not as big as Adobe, but like when Adobe did the monthly thing, I thought it was the smartest thing they could have done because they just basically opened up the pool, and then they actually got like so many people are pirating their software because it's like $4,000 or $3,000 or something like that for Photoshop. And come on, get out of here, So I think with this, it's like it's totally affordable. A lot of times too, if you're a student, you can get a lot of discounts by using educational licenses and stuff too, so that can help you. But it's good to pay for.
Yeah, and if you're going to like an actual university or something, like taking advantage of all the resources they have there, whether it's like hardware or just software they have on campus or something like.
Because those universities pay so much to have those programs and on all those computers. That's where they make their money, really, I think.
Yeah, I know that Autodesk started doing like a monthly subscription thing, but I think even the monthly is like incredibly high. Yeah,
it was like I think I was trying to use 3D Studio Max for Mache's class, which was a stupid mistake. I didn't like it at all, and I ended up having to spend like it was like $200 a month. I'm like, man, this is not a supercar. I'm not adding like. I ended up using Cinema 4D for all the stuff, and I was like, why am I spending this money on it? So they're still a little bit out of there. They need to really figure that out too, because I feel like it's quite silly. I think there should be tiers to it, I guess, or something. So, but yeah, to make it manageable too. But we're working professionals. I can afford it. It's just I'm not sure if I necessarily want to. Like I bought ZBrush for $700. I felt like that was for what it offers me. I felt okay. I bought like three.
It's a really good value.
Yeah, that's a great value. Or I bought Fusion 360, which was very very affordable, and then also Moments of Inspiration. It's like another CAD based hard surface modeling, and it was like, I don't know, $200 or something. So, but it all stacks up. You know, you just have to be aware of when you put that money in to make sure that you have a plan to get the money back somehow. You know, so if you're going to invest in yourself, you should, and this is where you do it. You know, so. But I totally understand, like, you know, buying Cinema 4D for the first time is like, it's a kick in the nuts. So, yeah.
Yeah, and there's also like, you do have the light version inside After Effects, which if you're a beginner, like it you know, I mean, it's very, very basic, but it's better than nothing.
Yeah. No, it's true. All right, we're more than halfway through, and we got one reel. Let's go to the next one. Great questions, guys. Keep them coming. Try to keep them pertaining to the reels if you can. Josh Dickens is next. You guys ready for this? You guys have the link ready?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get our bodies ready. Okay, I'm going to post the link for you guys in the chat. Yes, for people who are coming in late, there's no music on the reel because when we post this to YouTube, it gets flagged and then nobody can share it. If you want to watch it, there's the links. We apologize, but YouTube is just trying to control the world. They're like North Korea, so all right. Jokes. All right. Thoughts, guys. Thoughts. Who wants to start it off?
Why don't you start?
I talk way too much. Right?
I can start.
Please.
So, yeah, there's some really awesome stuff in here. One thing that threw me off right at the bat was the sequence of images. For some reason, I guess I wasn't expecting that. Like I expected to like start seeing movement.
Yeah.
And
I
then
remember catching that too.
Like I kind of almost felt like like it started too sudden. Like I don't know, like maybe not necessarily like it has to be like a super elaborated intro or something, but there was some type of like animation to begin with, and then bring in the images, or I don't know how do you like bringing images into a reel is always a tricky one. Like honestly, the only time I've seen it that it works very well was with your reel, Ash, because it was kind of like more of a process. Yeah.
Philippe Carvalho does it really good too. A random thought pattern. Okay, if you look at, have you seen his reel before? He uses still images, and I think that he uses still images with animation, but they're still images, which I think still
that's right.
Well,
I think we brought this one up last time too.
Yeah, he has a good reel.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's a still image, but I guess the thing is it's actually animating. But see how he's cutting sharply between still images.
Mm-hmm.
But there's like slight parallaxing and stuff. Change the.
Yeah, but that makes it not even, it doesn't feel like a still image.
That's true. But when he does have a still image, like at that, he's just panning up. So he's
Yeah.
creating fake animation through it. I think that's the key.
Right.
Like there is a still image there. There's a still image right here. That was a still image. He just animated the light. I think what I'm getting at here is you can use still images if you're not going to do it like I did with the process, but you have to have some sort of like parallaxing movement, shift, a little bit of navigation around the image. But yeah, I felt the same way. It was kind of like, okay, wait, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I struggle with that a little bit because I think that for the type of images that he was making, it works really well, adding that little bit of parallax and doing like little pushes in AE and stuff.
Yeah.
But some of these more like 3D images, or that have like these really heavy like glow effects, or I don't know. I feel like it's harder to do kind of those faux movements with these images because you're gonna know that it's not like real 3D as you're panning around it.
Yeah.
It's definitely a problem that I've run into also, is like having a lot of design stills and not always a lot of animation, trying to figure out like a good way to present it, especially when you can't necessarily like chop up your image and do like little camera moves on it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that in some ways, like his stills are some of the stronger work, so it's nice putting that up front. Whether they're like treated in the best way, I'm not sure, but it's definitely a nice way for me, at least, to like get into his work.
Yeah, I think you could also I think you could probably start with it motion and then end with that, perhaps like a blast of it. I don't know, like kind of like a crescendo finishing, like you have all like images in sequence that are just like a rapid succession. That would maybe work better. So like when you're introducing this, it has a more harmonious thing. I feel like there's some C or B level work in here too that I would suggest cutting it out. There was a moment while I was watching the reel and I started thinking about the time, and that's not a good thing. I was thinking about how long is this thing, and I checked it, and I think that's a bad thing. I don't know if you guys had the same experience.
Yeah, and I actually think that you could remove almost 2 projects in its entirety. Like all the shots with the cars kind of like didn't feel as polished as the other shots. Like everything is like nicely rendered, and like especially like the one with the planets and the red lines. Like I love that stuff.
Yeah.
But then and then came the cars again. That I kind of felt like out of place, and the other one that like it felt like there were a couple fillers instead of like showcase. And when I was reading his description, I mean, he's like approaching this reel as a journey of his first year and a half of work, which kind of gives me more context of the piece. But without
know that, then yeah,
exactly. And like if it like the one with the person merging into one silhouette, although cool, it kind of felt a bit out of place as well. And
yeah, there's a couple things. I think what I would do is probably trim off the fat. I would go through there, and you could probably cut down half of it. I would probably just do only like your A-level stuff. Remember, like the most juicy apple, you put that out there, and only the most juicy stuff. Because then think about you're getting critiqued by us, but a lot of people you'll never have the chance to get the critique from them. They're just gonna either watch it and be inspired by it, or want to hire you, or they're not going to. So you have to just be cautious and aware of that. I think is the key. Yeah, I think also one of the things I think is I could see that you're trying to evolve into this style. So I would say the best way to approach this is keep that style consistent. Like Jorge mentioned, like the cars is like, it's cool to have that variation, but at the same time, it's so off-putting that it's kind of, it's not complimentary, I think this Wayland thing too, I don't like this personally. I feel like it feels like a quick animation study that I would make, but I wouldn't really necessarily show anybody, if that makes sense. I think the thing that does work really well is that like kind of Oblivion-looking gunship thing that you have here. It's cool. It's like got an interesting lighting to it. So, but I understand from what Jorge said, the context of this is to show the work that you've built over time. But I'm putting this into context of you using this to get hired, and just my overall approach to it and thought of it. I think you show a lot of potential, but I think what you need to do is possibly really go through this and cut out what's not powerful, and then from the still images, consider doing animations from those and making it make us a story, a linear story. Right now, it's very disjointed. It's kind of all over the place. There's some mixed work, there's some good work, there's some subpar work, and I feel like it's kind of all over the place a little bit. So this looks like Wrigley's homework too. Speaking of.
Yeah, it looks pretty similar. I mean, I feel like for this reel, I mean, we're talking about like cutting out, potentially maybe even like half the projects in here.
Yeah.
Like speed could really be your friend if you're cutting it to like a really fast track. Obviously it's only your first year and a half of work. Like you're just kind of learning the craft and everything. So it's lacking in that respect for some of the shots. Like, the keyframes, you're feeling a lot of the way the animation is functioning in some of the shots isn't, really precise. But if you're cutting in and out of the really, like, the most pristine moments really quickly, it'll make it feel more solid, I think. So you don't give people enough time to really latch on to those moments that aren't really solid in the way that they need to be.
Agreed. Yeah, I think a possible switch in track could help too. I think the key here is to find perhaps find a track that you can use that's 35 to 45 seconds. I think this is a through line for all of this, is that I would much rather you use 30 seconds of my time than a minute, and just obliterate me and blow me away. Wouldn't you, Wouldn't you rather like that? Like, instead of anything in life, you want that condensed, amazing experience, rather than a long drawn out thing. Recently I went and saw Hans Zimmer live, and it was really amazing to see him play live. But the thing I felt was a problem it was just probably my own personal problem, or maybe somebody else felt it, is he's so prolific. He's scored everything from like Lion King to like Cool Runnings to like Inception, and so he has this wide range. When I watched his live show, it's about an hour and a half, I think, of live music with an intermission in the middle. There was parts of it where I was like, man, you probably shouldn't have done this one. And I was sitting there going like, I really don't like this, but I was like, well, out of respect, I really respect and love how prolific he is. But what I'm getting at is even pros have that too. So I'm just wanting you to be aware that it's a tough thing to tackle. It means you need to cut out stuff. You have to have intuition as to what's great, and you need to really put it all together cohesively. And I think what you need to do is make a through line, make a story, create a rhythm through everything, find where things are moving and how it's moving, and place them in a really nice order so that if it feels like it's taking you somewhere. I think those are usually the best reels, so it's not just like pretty images. It's like, wow, that was interesting, that was cool, thinking about I think Alistair Wilson has it in his reel. He hasn't changed it for years, but it's like that guy in the beginning is like, oh man, oh god, oh man, oh god, and then it goes all crazy, And it's kind of like he introduces personality. Or even Andrew Harlick. Andrew had a really cool thing where he put in like little funny beats and little like funny memorable things, So
hire me.
Yeah, hire me. Yeah, exactly. And that's very Andrew. So it don't necessarily mean that you have to, if your style is to be more, serious or dark or something like that, embrace that and make that your thing. So a lot of notes for you though, lots of things to think about. So yeah.
Yeah, I think like especially when you're starting, I know that for me at least, when I did my first reel, that it was really just for a specific client that was thinking about hiring me for a little project. That like I really filled it up with stuff that of like I thought they would like, and that would show that I could do a bunch of different stuff. And it wasn't until like later on, and that I realized that that's like a total wrong approach for a demo reel. Like a demo reel should portray the stuff that you like to do, and not necessarily how much like, oh, you can do 3D, or oh, you can animate cars or whatever. Like those specific skills, at least in my experience, like nobody is out to hire someone that, okay, I need to know if you can animate a car. They just need to know if you can animate well and if you have a good sense of timing and design, because with that you'll be able to do pretty much anything else. And And I feel like this reel kind of reminds me of my first reel, where I'm kind of like trying to show everything I know without filtering the quality of it.
And that's hard to do, you know, because when you're new and you're wanting to do this more, you're thinking, well, I'm just going to put everything in the kitchen sink in here just in case somebody will see something. And I think there's a little truth to that, but at the same time, only put the best of what you have out there, because no matter what, that's going to help you rather than diluting it. So you want to just punch people right in the face with your work, right in the throat. Cry chop them.
It's tough when you have a really small body of work, though. Like, totally. I'm sure this might even be like all of his projects.
Yeah, I don't want to see all of them. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
You could cut it down to half of this. Just show me the cream of the crop. There's nothing wrong, I think, in my opinion, of having too little of great things. Whoever said that's a bad thing, you know? Because the only complaint people will have is, I wish there was more. That's not a complaint. That's a compliment. So think about that, you know? So just something, food for thought. But you're right, though. You might not have everything, and this is everything. But if I showed you guys everything, it would diminish my impact and the work that I have. You know, not everything I make is great. Yeah. Well, at least my mom says it is, but I don't think so. So yeah.
I want to see the stuff that is not great now.
I
is there really that stuff?
Not anymore. No, I try to do my best to make the best quality work now and then. But what I'm talking about is when I first started. There's, you know, when we're first green and we're getting used to this stuff, we aren't aware of quality because we're trying to, you know. And that's why you learn. That's why we have Learn Square. That's why we're here helping you to get better. And I'm not trying to give you specific details for me personally, because that's not going to necessarily help you. Maybe it will, but I don't want you to be me. I want you to think on your own and find what's valuable and ask other people and help you decide on your own where you're going in this journey, you know, and utilize that to get you to that next place. So, yeah.
I think there's some pressure to like feel the need to cut a reel too.
I didn't do one.
You just don't necessarily have to either. If it makes you look worse than you really are, and if you're in the process of learning, there's no need to like present a reel. It's just like I've still never cut one. You just like put together a portfolio, and hopefully that's enough.
Yeah, that's right. You don't have a reel, right?
No.
I love that.
I mean, I've cut some, but I've never posted any.
Okay, but you understand how this works anyway. So, but I forgot about that. And I want you to know too out there is I didn't cut a reel. Well, actually, I paid my friend Frank to do it because I couldn't freaking figure out how to do it right. Because I kept every time I would attempt it, it just didn't feel right. So I had to have him do it because he's much better at that stuff. And then I was completely unbiased. And I would suggest if you have a hard time, maybe pay an editor to do it and let them handle it. And then you come in there and you go, okay, maybe he give you a different perspective. But I didn't do one until 5 or 6 years into my career. So I just didn't feel the need. And the only reason I did it is because I kept going to speaking events. They're like, "Do you have a reel?" And I'm like, "No, piss off. I don't like reels. I don't like doing them." And then and I was like, "Okay, fine, I'll make one." And it was fun. It was a fun process. I think Frank did a really great job. I gave him all the stuff. I gave him the song. I told him kind of the idea, and I wanted to show process at the same time. Passion projects and certain things are bigger than others. But I created a through line and created a rhythm, you know. So yeah. But there is a pressure, I think, and you don't necessarily have to do it. And sometimes it could cause you more harm if you're not showing the right things. So,
yeah. I think that's a cool exercise, though, to have someone else cut your work because they're probably going to be way less precious with it than you are. Like, I mean, even if you're a student, you could have one of your buddies that's also a student, you know, cut each other's work and see what comes out of that.
Yeah, I would think that'd be great. That's why I did it, because I was too precious with it. And it's almost like when a director. There's a reason why on a film, a director, there's also an editor. It's on almost every film. The reason why is because the director is so precious. An editor is an outside perspective, seeing the film done, and they will see it for what it's worth without thinking of all this, like, oh, you know, that shot was really good because whatever. There's emotions attached to it, whereas this person's thinking about the next step, you know. So that's also a consideration. And utilize that resource, you know. I'm sure there's somebody out there that wouldn't mind helping you out, and then you could help them out, you know. So maybe possibly reach out to people. So are we good? Josh, you got some freaking notes, bro. Got some notes, bro. Got some notes, bro. Yeah, remember, you want to karate chop peeps in the neck with your work. So squeeze their nose and punch them in the balls. Jorge says to do that, so that's not from me. I'm just quoting Jorge.
Yeah, that sounds again just like me.
Yeah, you guys don't know, but Jorge's got a real big potty mouth, so I'm just saying. Okay, that was awesome. Okay, do we have enough time to do one more? You guys good, or you want to stop now?
I'm good. I got like 30 minutes.
Okay, I have 20 minutes. Does that work?
Yeah, I probably have about 20 minutes too.
Okay, damn, Jorge is busy, dude. Got to go swear and yell at people. Okay. I'm just joking. Everybody know this. I'm just totally joking. He's the nicest guy I've ever met. So, this is funny. I like how John. So we're doing John's reel next. I'm gonna put the link in the chat for you peeps. There you go. So you guys can view it. I like. So John, it wasn't just me. Okay, I think it was actually Jorge and Michael that mentioned this. So it's not just me that you're making happy. You should ask us all. And yes, I am happy. Thanks for posting this. Last note, so just inside thing. If you guys weren't here for the last review, we made a huge stink about making sure you post the score, or the sound, or whatever that you're using for your piece and all that stuff. And so it's a little funny joke. He's asking me if I'm happy now. I am happy, John. Good job, bud. You making Papa proud. Okay, you guys ready? We're gonna watch this one.
Yeah.
This is 2.5. It's almost 3 minutes. This better be damn good, John, or I'm gonna start blasting you. I'm just joking. Okay, ready? I'm not joking. I'm being serious, but I'm kind of joking. Okay, let's begin. I better be blown away. Okay, let's go. I got notes already. Let's keep going. All right. That's a shit ton of work. Okay, who wants to start? Who wants to start?
I can start. Yeah, I mean, this one's interesting, right? Because it's like we've been saying, like, don't show work based on like what skills you have and what tools you have. Represent like yourself, your timing, your animation skills. Whereas like a VFX reel is almost completely the opposite of that.
It's good to have in our variety. Yeah, it's good.
You want to represent like what your skills are and like all the different tools that you can command and how well you can command them.
Yeah.
And I mean, for that, I think like even the pacing needs to be way different. Like it felt kind of long watching it like on the live stream with no sound, but like when I was watching it before this, it kind of needs to be slow in that way so that you can like take time to figure out what he worked on and then see how it's applied to that shot.
Yeah.
I do like the track. I think the only thing that I would critique about it is it is long and it feels almost a little anticlimactic. Like it never really lifts out of that melancholy that it's starting with. So I don't know if there's a way to cut something that's still like epically long like this, but does actually build into more of a progression. I mean, you've got some really, really beautiful shots here, and I think having something that builds more could be really nice.
Yeah, I'm surprised by the music choice. I'm pleasantly surprised at the same time. I agree with Michael. I think that, and the thing I really like is that we're going from a big contrast, right? We have somebody that's kind of new in the industry. We have somebody that's kind of in the middle that has a complete motion graphics kind of reel, and now we have VisFX. This is really cool because we're getting to be able to critique the scale, the broadness of the work that's out there. And there's hybrids, obviously. There's people that do VisFX and motion design and how to blend the two, which is difficult to do. I think the track is really interesting, but yeah, it's anticlimactical, but at the same time, it doesn't really bother me. I think the one thing I think would be a really strong suit for you, besides figuring out your type here, because this is whack attack, I need to help you with that. But besides that is, I think what would really help you out is instead of saying what it is here, I think you need to show it. And how can you show it? I think what you're trying to show to people, and when you show, like movies, for example, we take it for granted that there's so much work that goes into one shot. I would like you to show me that, because when you show, like, let's say like a grandma this thing, they would go, yeah, okay, like that's pretty cool. But if you show the grandma like, okay, well, look at what this looks like without me doing what I did, I think that's really the magic. And I'm not seeing it, I'm reading it in words, and it's happening so fast that I can't process exactly. And I work in this industry, I know what you're doing, but at the same time, if you could show me by breaking it out and showing what it looks like before and after, there's a lot of really good VisFX reels and things that do that. There's this one for Arrival, I think, that the studio, I can't remember where it is, but they kind of broke down the way that they put their shots together. And, you know, it's kind of a typical thing, like, oh, here it is with the butterfly not there, and here's the one with the butterfly in there. And but I think that that's the power that you have that you should really consider using, because right now, probably to you, is like, yeah, I get it, but I want to show like the end shot. But for normal people that you want to impress, or even for an employer, I think showing the detailed depth of just how badass you are by showing what it is before you touch it, that's where your power is. And if you don't have that, I think you're really missing a strong point in what you're trying to do effectively, in my opinion. That's my opinion, though.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
I'm definitely with you as well, because like I'm by no means a VFX guy. I mean, I've done it very minimally. But the times that I've seen reels of VFX that just blow me away is when you see a nice breakdown.
Yeah.
And it becomes like almost entertaining, also, like, as well as like incredibly helpful to like show the stuff that you've done. But it's actually a really cool thing to see, even for people who are not, you know, that into that part of the industry. Not that you're targeting to them, but you know, it's the type of stuff that, you know, it could get shared around just by the virtue of you showed how those shots were done.
Yeah.
And that can give you exposure on its own. And yeah, and I also think like you could probably make it shorter. Like
I'd remove this shot, probably this one. I felt like it was really uber duper long. Is this Scarlett Johansson? I can't tell, but I felt that was really long. I like how you're clustering them, but yeah, I felt like it could be shorter as well. I do like, I think, and Wrigley mentions it, it's good to have those you know, we need a little bit more time with these shots, especially if you start to do breakdowns, you know, before and after. I guess I would equate it to magic tricks, right? You have, right now you're showing us the David Blaine's finished, polished magic trick, but that doesn't help me understand what it is that you do if I'm a normal person, you know? So I can go like, oh man, like look what you did. Like without your work or without your help, this is no good. But look, with your help, I can see the magic unfolding, you know? So I think that's really the trick and the key. But that could just be me, and maybe you're probably sick and tired of seeing people do those. I just think it's missing that value. So,
but I feel like even if you're not trying to communicate to just the everyday person, and you're trying to communicate to, you know, people that are in the industry and might be hiring you, just the immediacy of a breakdown, like makes it so much faster to understand, rather than, you know, trying to actually like go through the shots and judge what you did or did not do.
Yeah, I think that'll help a lot. I mean, besides, I mean, this is the poor man's version of putting the text underneath here and stuff. But I think that this doesn't do you any good. I think this doesn't do you justice at all. I think you need to show it without saying it in type. And I'm not sure if it's even possible for you to do this because maybe you don't have these files or whatever. But maybe half of this you should go and dive into it and then show people what it is that you've done. But I think breaking this down would really help you in your favor. Also, Game of Thrones is awesome, so plus 400 points for you for that. So that's great. Side note, and this face thing is delicious. Well, it's so gnarly. But yeah, I think that's my main note. Is some of this could probably be cut down, cut out, and then some of this, like your most proud moments, I would pick 3 or 4 of them and really break them down and show them so that we can understand without you what this work is and with you what this work is. And that's where your power is, I think. So just in my opinion, because I was waiting for it. I was like, okay, maybe I'm just used to it because everybody does it, but I think everybody does it because there's a reason. It's like everybody uses music in their reel, because if you didn't use music, then it'd be like, well, this is weird, and it would be almost more damaging, where I think you not showing it makes it a little bit more damaging, not as being able to see that process behind it. Because if I were to say, like, I want to hire you, for example, I'd read here and I go, okay, well, I can jump to a conclusion in my mind, an assumption that you know what you're doing, and what you've said here, it looks like it's probably right. But if I see it, then I go, oh, it's easy. Okay, I need help. I need help with this one thing on this one project for whatever, you know. So just a thought. So anything else, my bros?
I was just looking through some of his other videos. There's actually some pretty cool breakdowns in here too that he could just drop into the edit.
He has some other ones in here?
Yeah, see the breakdown edit 001.
Yeah, let's watch this. So he already has breakdowns. So he's just showing us the magic trick at the end. He's not giving us a super sauce. Gotta give us a super sauce. Okay, cool. Yeah, see, here you go. Yeah. Why aren't you putting this in here? Oh,
yeah, that makes...
Yeah, I think that this is... that you got to put this stuff in your reel, I would, personally. If I knew how to do all this stuff, I know how to do some of it. Well, yeah. But if I would definitely show this. But look at what I did, Mom. You know? Aren't you proud of me, Mom? Yeah, I would cut this. I would find a different track. I would cut your rhythm to these slides, and then I would have it be nicely paced really well and have some climax to it and a little bit of undulation in the way it's coming. But yeah, you have it all here. So I was worried that you wouldn't have it because, you know, these projects get quite big, but you have everything that we need right here. So I really don't like the idea of you putting text below it, because I feel like that's just like a cop-out, to be honest. Not to be a jerk, I just don't feel like it's nearly as strong as being able to show this. Damn, look at all that water sim. That's great.
Yeah. I feel like this piece works so much better as a reel than the other one.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you should do that. That'd be my opinion. So, because the reel, I think what you're doing is you're showing highlights, but I think showing the process is actually just as strong, if not stronger. And then it just shows your value So then I can instantly go like, oh yeah, John's the shit. He's got all this. Because not everybody's going to want to venture and go into here, and you want to capture them instantly. So I guess the overall note is to include this kind of stuff. Maybe pick a different track. Find a track that's like 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes maximum. Got to fix that typography in the beginning. If you don't want to animate it, maybe a friend of yours can do it if you want. Keep it nice and clean. Right now it just feels like a bad spreadsheet or something. I don't like it personally, so it's not inspiring to me. I'm being harsh, but I'm being real about it. I don't know. You guys feel the same way?
Totally.
Yeah. Totes McGrow.
I've seen way too many Rails with like, default font and
Don't
like
do that,
no design. Like,
in some ways, it makes it feel like kind of like an authentic VFX reel, though.
that is true. I was gonna say that. Like every single VFX reel is like that. So
yeah, but let's be different though, John. And let's be different. Don't listen to Michael Rigley. Listen to me. I did say that Michael's always right though. So, but yeah, no, I think like, really.
Michael doesn't even have a reel. You can listen to him.
Boom. Jorge is always right. I forgot. I got them mixed up. So yeah, I would say definitely invest some time. And I think the typeface is fine. This looks like some sort of like a din or a subset of din or something. But I think it's mostly like how you're laying it out and really think about it. And, it doesn't have to be left justified. Maybe it could be center justified. And think about what you can put in there and what you can't. Maybe it just all it says is, in the beginning it's like my reel or whatever. I think that's really key. Also, your naming conventions, when I looked at your reel, look, I don't like this, personally. It's like the file name. Yeah, I get it. I see what you're doing here, but I would say like your name, then the year if you want to, or just like, I don't like to date my reels personally because it dates it quickly. So I don't even put a year on it. I would just say like, Ashthorpe reel or something. You don't have to do what I'm doing, but right here, it's very forgetful, to be honest. This could be anybody's reel at this point. If I didn't look at your name, then I would be like, well, I guess this is anybody's reel. So you should attach your name in here. I would, personally. So, and just think about how you're communicating things to people, There's a way to do this right, and there's a way to do it wrong. I think right now it just needs that extra help to make it better. And it also depends on what you're trying to do, So, but for me it's very underwhelming. And because your work is so outstanding and amazing and beautiful, you should complement it with everything through it. The music, the typography, the edit, and the presentation. And you should consider possibly hiring an editor to have cut the stuff. Say, hey, here's all my stuff. Here's some money. Go to town and make it. And that way you don't have to focus on it. And then maybe that's not a strong suit for you, or you're too personal to it. Try that and see what happens. I guarantee you'd get some different results, So just a thought. I think that's it. We kind of went over on time. I know Jorge has to leave because he hates us, but at the same time, he's got, money to make. He's got money.
Gotta put some keyframes. Gotta go back and put keyframes.
He's got to click the mouse at least 4,000 times today, and he's only on
That's right.
five clicks.
Yeah.
Today, so. I think that's it. Any more notes for John?
I don't know for me.
Yeah, you got a solid critique. So just if you can, take with what you want, and if you want me to be happy now, Ash, then take some of these notes, and I think it'll really help you out, man. I really strongly do. It's not that I don't love the Max Richter track. I think it's beautiful. I love his work, but I'm wondering if there's a better way. And I would strongly suggest, if this is something that is out of range of your skill set, hire somebody or get advice or commission somebody or whatever, or do a trade or whatever you have to do. Have them help you out, because this is really important stuff. This is how the world perceives you. This is how you get hired. If you go out there and you make something really good or personable or outstanding, it's just going to speak bounds for you, So I think that's really key. Jorge, I know you have to go. I think there's a couple questions I'll try to do, I guess, before we head out. You guys have been great. There's a lot of questions in here. Yeah. Do you want to head out, or you got a minute?
I'll stick to the end.
Okay. Let me turn this down here. Okay. We're gonna do questions for 5 minutes, and we're gonna cap it off. Okay, guys. Question regarding motion design. I feel my designs are really weak, but I also need to work on my animation skills. Should I get really good at animation then learn design, even though this would warm my employability as a freelancer? How about that? That's a good question. Thank you for asking that. Go ahead, Jorge. I'll let you handle that.
So is the question which one comes first? Should I polish my animation or my design first, basically?
Yeah. To make him or her more employable.
That's a very tricky one. I think it kind of depends in what kind of jobs you're getting. Like for me, if you're starting, I would say try to define what you want to focus on in the long term. For example, if I want to focus on animation later on, I'm gonna focus on design right now, but make sure that it's like fairly simple and achievable. So like kind of like the projects that I did when I started school, like most of them were like circles and stuff, and like simple design where I could let my animation shine. Yeah, I don't even know how to answer the question properly, to be honest, because it's so tricky. Like one thing that I always say when I see student work is that their design could really use some work. Like they haven't really spent the time like making proper frames before jumping into animation. Yeah. So in that sense, I would say definitely try to go as far as you can with your design skills before you go into animation. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know.
I concur. You must be a good designer or artist before you move it around. If not, you're just moving a turd around. So
yeah, exactly. And it's like we were talking about this.
Wrigley, actually, Michael Wrigley says that.
Talking a bit earlier, like I mean, you are designing 24 frames per second, right? Like, first got to do one right.
Or 30 or 60, huh, Michael? Huh?
Oh yeah. I think also though they kind of go hand in hand. Like you're never gonna be like a master designer and then be like, okay, now it's time to learn animation. You're gonna get to a certain skill level, and you're just gonna have to sort of develop both side by side. I mean, myself, I approached it as like developing a design background just because those tools are a little easier to learn, and it's I actually wanted to be just like a traditional graphic designer before I got into all this motion graphic stuff. But I mean, I think it's valid to develop those skills first, but you're never going to reach like a level of mastery where it's like, oh, now it's time to move on to the next thing. You have to kind of develop them in parallel and at the same time, and your design will get a little bit better and your animation will get a little bit better, and they just keep kind of growing with you.
That's a good point. I agree. But you need to get to a certain level, though. You need to be a capable and knowledgeable designer, because Michael was a great designer before he started doing motion. I know that because I've seen the work prior. So he had a good sense, and that only makes your motion better, because literally, like Jorge said, is that you're designing for 24 frames per second. So you need to start with that. I think that's the important thing, is having that to start off with. I think that's the key. So start with your designs. I think we all agree and concur. Being a great designer, then motion designer. I think there's a through line for that. Because if you're not, then you're literally just moving around bad design, and nobody wants that, even you. And your mom. Oh, I'm just joking. That was a bad joke. Okay. Next question. That's a good question, though. Thank you for asking it. The last one, I guess, we'll have, or there's two more, but let's try to wrap this up. In regards to Adobe subscription, how do you feel about the fact that if you don't continue subscription, you no longer have access to that software you invested so much money into over the term of use? Basically, you leave the subscription without any software. No shit. If you don't pay for it, you don't get it. So I don't see what the question is here.
I think it's like, you say I paid like for a few years and I invested $2,500 in the subscription.
Sure.
Now I stopped paying the subscription and I've got nothing. But I mean, that's kind of just like...
That's anything. You get a car and you don't put gas in it, you can't drive anywhere. So I don't see the point in what that doesn't make any sense. Okay. Jorge, do you have anything to say besides agreeing with me?
You must agree.
Yeah, I don't quite get it either. I mean, yeah. That's the nature of subscription, right?
That's exactly it. That's why they have...
I think it's that you don't have the option to buy it. Like, it's like buying a car versus leasing a car, right?
Sure.
Like,
Isn't there?
but you're forced to lease the car, even though you want to buy one.
I see that. Okay, that's valid. Okay, I get that. And yeah, that sucks, but at the same time, that's just kind of the nature of the beast. So, and you just have to kind of deal with that. And I think it's just part of it, I guess, you know. But I see your point, though. And it's just, if you, let's say you do this for a living and you're making X amount of money, then a percentage of that goes to this. You're making money off of it, like a car, for example. And it's just a part of the cost of it. I see your point. It sucks. Like, after this lease, you should be able to have the ability to buy it, because eventually you will break even off the cost of it as the years go on. But yeah, I mean, if you're making money off of it, it's just kind of what it is. And when you stop paying for it, then yeah, you're pretty much done, which makes complete sense. So
yeah, but I mean, one key difference in this case is that, you know, especially when you're talking about the Adobe products. I mean, not trying to defend the huge company or anything, but
dude,
like you're paying for a program that will continue to change every 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
You would
Yeah,
be stuck to like
improving it.
CS6 or something like that.
Yeah.
exactly. Like, you're not, by the time you finish paying, quote, your subscription, you finished, like, you already started paying for the new one because it's changed. Like,
Yeah. They're constantly updating stuff, which sometimes is
Exactly.
good, sometimes is bad. Last
We'll see
question.
that.
What do you guys think about including motion tests or incomplete projects in a reel? If it's good, it's good. That's my thought.
yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, my initial inclination would say no, but unless it, like, the motion test ended up being awesome, in which case, sure.
Yeah. Yeah. If it's good enough, if it's better or good as the rest of the work, then yeah, use it. Again, it's all about that quality. Using that good stuff, you know? That special sauce. Special sauce. For next time we do this, Michael Wrigley's going to put his reel together, then we're going to critique that for an hour and a half. We're going to bring in Michael's family, his whole family, on this Twitch stream. We're going to critique it. Now, thank you to the 3 people that came here who submitted their reels for us to critique. We hope that everybody learned something cool from this. If you're watching this, you didn't get your reel critique, but you want to, reach out to Momo or Joe. You just got to private message them in the Slack channel, or not Slack channel, but I guess you could use Slack, but use the Twitch thing. Yeah, and we'll try to do this. I think we're all 3 of us are incredibly busy, so it's really hard for us to align, but I think we're going to try and do this at least once a month or every other month. So just be ready for it. These are really cool special things, and I want to give a clap to Jorge and Michael Wrigley for coming on. You guys done did good.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having us. Very chatty today. We're very
Yeah,
chatty.
I know. Shut up, guys. Sheesh. No, thank you guys so much. Great notes today, and I'm hoping this feedback will build up everybody. So yeah, and it's everybody in the chat give love to these guys for coming here and sharing their time, and give hugs and kisses, digital hugs and kisses. We'll see you guys on the next one. Mache is going to be on tomorrow at 1 o'clock, so make sure you're there. And we'll see you guys on the next one. All right, peoples. Peace.
Peace.
See you guys.